Hi, and welcome back to the channel. It's BFI Japan season at the moment, and I thought I'd do a little video about Japanese cinema, some Japanese cinema that I really like, or that inspired me in some way. So where to start? Some of these selections are going to be obvious, some of them less obvious. So I'm going to start with the one that probably made the biggest impact on me initially anyway, and that is Tanpopo by Juzo Itami. Tanpopo changed what I thought about cinema in loads of ways. It's one of the first movies that I watched on Criterion that I just knew I never would have seen any other way. I would never have found that film, or that film would never have come across my radar if it wasn't for the fact that it was in the Criterion collection and was one of the earlier titles that was released in the UK in Criterion. And Tanpopo is much loved by many people because there aren't too many films that are like it, aside from the general themes that it picks on, because it does cherry pick a lot of themes and a lot of ideas that you've seen in other films. It's called a ramen western in many ways because it's a film about food. It's a film about a lady who wants to make the best ramen in the land, and there are two people that come to her little stop, which she's inherited from her dead husband, and they don't like her ramen. They really don't like it at all. So they set about trying to help her and trying to get her to make the best ramen that she can. Needing someone who makes the best noodles. So they go find out the person who makes the best noodles and gets their expertise and brings them into the team. Who makes the best broth, etc, etc. And it's like this collection of people that all add into this magnificent A-team or ramen team. So Tanpopo was wonderful. It's interspersed with these really odd little peeks into food fetish as well, which some of them are harder to stomach than other ones, but they all kind of mix into this idea that it's just a very unusual and unique kind of movie, and one that I wholeheartedly recommend to everybody to watch. It is one of the best films in my entire collection, and one of the ones that I would pick out and show to anybody who is interested in learning a bit more about films outside of Hollywood. So that is Tanpopo. Second film I'm going to talk about is one of the first films that I picked up from Eureka Masters of Cinema. And I've seen a lot of his movies now, and he's a diverse movie maker. He had a period where he made two films that were a bit different from the rest of them, and this is one of them. He's best known as like a horror thriller director, and it's Kurosawa. But this movie is Tokyo Sonata. And Tokyo Sonata tells the story of a man who loses his job but feels shame because of it. He can't go home and tell his wife and his kids that he has lost the family income at that time, and therefore he keeps on with the pretense of his life, pretending to go out to work but really going up to meet other people that are in similar situations, that have been let go from being an office manager in their job or a similar kind of career, and then trying to adapt and trying to face the fact of how he's going to break it to his family, that the breadwinner of the family is not worth anything anymore. And it is very much a male psyche movie, I think. As you get older, you question your role in society, especially as society's changed and the males are not necessarily seen as the breadwinners all the time in the family, and how that fits in with your ego. It also tells the story of the other people in his family, his wife and his two kids, and about how their own aspirations are run alongside his own problems. And I adore Tokyo Sonata. There's again a film with real heart and told simply and plainly, but to great effect. So that's Tokyo Sonata. It's spine number 3 in the Masters of Cinema collection, and it's a recent enough movie. It wouldn't be Japanese cinema without something from the person that's considered the greatest, and that is Akira Kurosawa. Now, there are many movies from Akira Kurosawa up above me, lots of them, but I wanted to highlight one that I don't see many people talking about, but again that I dearly love, and it is his last film. It is Dreams, and this is the Criterion release of Dreams. Dreams is a bit of a anthology short story film in that he tells lots of little vignettes and puts them together and structures them into a narrative. And each of the vignettes can be taken in their own right, but they carry certain themes that run from start to finish the whole way through it. And again, film I adore. I adore this film. There's so many beautiful ways that in which it's shot, just like you'd expect from one of the great masters of cinema. Excuse the pun. But Akira Kurosawa, going from a lot of his output in the 50s and the 60s that has become very wildly famous, and then this in 1990, which tells these little vignettes. They're short stories that he had gathered up through his life and his career, and the stories that he wanted to tell. Some great extras on this as well. There's a very long making of documentary on the disc as well, and there is also a documentary about Kurosawa's life as well, culminating in winning the awards that he did. So lots of people will say, go watch Seven Samurai. You definitely should. You should definitely go watch Yojimbo. You should watch Rashomon. You should watch Throne of Blood. You should watch all of those, but don't leave out Dreams. The last one I'm going to talk about is a director, again, that I've seen a lot of movies of, and he has releases right in nearly all of the major labels that we have here. He has one in Masters of Cinema. He's a lot for Criterion. And I'm going to highlight actually a box set of his, and it's the Arrow one. And it's the early years of Seijun Suzuki, Volume 1. And this one is entitled Youth Movies. There is another one that's up there as well. They basically tell these stories of youth through the Nakatsu label that he was working for at the time, and they're very much of that kind of Saturday afternoon, knock out an 90 minute movie and go on cinema to watch it and be taken along for the ride. They're all very enjoyable, and they're very simple stories that are within them. Some of them tell of teenage delinquents, some of them tell of the struggles of growing up. There's a wonderful one called The Wind of Youth Group Crosses the Mountain Pass. I had to look at it because I'm never remembering that name, but it tells the story of a travelling musical family, like akin to the circus, and they all they're all really nice little tales and very easy watches, but start to give you a prelude into some of the kind of filmmaking that Seijun Suzuki then became better known for. It wasn't until we got to something like Branded to Kill, which I've seen, that's also an Arrow and is in Criterion, I think, in America, that really starts to see his style being imposed on cinema, and that he was very into blocking out colour and using colour, even though Branded to Kill is a monochrome film, but you'll see what I mean by definitely the cut and style, etc., that's in that. It was a very controversial film at the time, but this is a lovely box set, and it's filled with 2 discs and a lovely book, and I've swapped the art on one of them because the original artwork is very like a front cover like that, and then I have swapped it for one of them for the other one because I particularly liked those movies as well. So there's my little taster into Japanese cinema. There's plenty more bits that I haven't touched. I haven't touched on things like Female Prisoner Scorpion that's up there, which is another wonderful set. But I thought I'd give you a slight introduction into what I feel are important movies to me that are in Japanese cinema and that fit into the BFI Japan season. What's your favourite Japanese movies? Let me know down in the comments. Let me know what you think about these movies. What's your favourite Kurosawa movie? What's your favourite Kyoshi Kurosawa movie? And we can have a bit of a chat about it. Thanks for taking the time to watch. I'll speak to you all soon. Take care. Bye.